com.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. It is a transfer deadline day window slamming shut special edition of the Midweek Fix. I'm your host, Matt. For this evening, we got Gav along with us, we got Dom, and we got Kev. Gentlemen, are we excited about the overflow of business being done in the transfer window?
Literally just got breaking news now. Chelsea have reached agreement in principle with Benfica to sign Enzo Fernandez. Immediately, not in the summer, clubs now racing to get the documents for the 22-year-old Argentinian midfielder completed in time for the 11 p.m. UK deadline, according to The Athletic.
So there we are. From outside of Stamford Bridge, live from outside Stamford Bridge, Kev O'Sullivan with all the breaking news.
Are we putting Kev in charge of breaking news? Is Kev in charge of breaking news?
It seems.
I really want
like
him to be, because that means that we don't have to look up anything. That's all I'm saying. Like, I can literally sit here, drink tea, and just be really sad about Liverpool for an hour and then go about my business. So Kev is in charge of deadly breaking news.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, that'll almost certainly be the biggest deal of the day as well, too, when it comes to magnitude and dollar amounts.
Biggest deal in Premier League history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think on that one?
There's a lot of people that think that, Todd Bowley, is that his name? Todd?
I
wanted to say Tom, but I think it's Todd. Todd Bowley. Todd is like a lunatic and doesn't know what he's doing. But clearly they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, these people are billionaires, and he has this Clearwater crowd behind them that are billionaires that literally, look at a market down to the last minute detail when they're making investments. And clearly they know what they're doing. They're clearly saying, we will commit this amount of money over the next 7 years. We will commit probably 20% of it right now. And the rest across, well, you can see 7, 6, 7, 8 year contracts. So a lot of stuff around, FFP and stuff like that. I don't know if Chelsea have a bit of a clean slate because they're a newly owned club. I don't know what deal was done with the British government when it was being sold, but I would be very surprised if Chelsea are breaking FFP by doing this. And
that close.
They would be close, but you have to remember they've loads of assets there now. Like Ziyech, I think, is on his way to PSG. Kante, they're looking to get rid of. There was another one today I seen was linked out as well, and there'll be more in the summer. And like, genuinely, if they get 30 to 40 million quid for 4 or 5 players, they're well within FFP, because they're paying out a percentage to start with, which right now, if it's 20%, it's about 150-60 million quid. Okay, and that'd be 20% of what they've spent in the last 6 months, and then spread the rest over 6, 7, and 8 years. They'll be absolutely fine.
I mean, just looking at Chelsea's transfers for this window, off the Guardian, they don't even have it updated yet to include Enzo Fernandez, but with their last signing being Mudryk, they're at a negative £163 million, a net spend of 163 million in just this window. So add another 105 on top of that. Serious money. I mean, that news was so breaking and needed to be addressed that we just skipped right over the fact that our show is brought to you by bookmakers.com. If you're into a little bit of the gambling, you want to get the best odds on whatever sport you're looking at, not just football, but everything, head on over to bookmakers.com. Make sure to check Gav out on his weekly show, doing the hard work, getting out amongst the rival fans, having to talk about Liverpool. That's
trying
unfortunate.
To avoid talking about Liverpool.
Yeah, just keep it to 3 games and try not to pick the Liverpool game if you're lucky. You'll be all right. Well, shit, I don't know where to start here, gentlemen.
Start with Dom. How does Dom feel? Because we don't know anything about how Dom feels. Is he really upset?
Well, you want to talk about Liverpool or just the window in general?
Or just being upset in general?
Yeah, whatever you want, Dom. Feel your boots.
Where do I stand on this? I think I'm the same as any other Red, to be fair. I think we need to invest. We've been on probably a decline for the last 3 years in terms of investment. Going into 4, I thought after the Champions League, we should have added a couple to the squad at least to improve the squad. And it's gradually just got maybe, let's say, worse over time in terms of the midfield. That was going to happen. We've improved by adding Thiago, yes, but Thiago without legs around him, is there much point? Because he looks like he's carrying 3 men at the moment. I'm just a bit deflated more than anything, because it's painful to watch other teams around us pushing and pushing and pushing and signing these big players, these big names, and there's a potential that they run away from us if we don't sort this quickly. But as we know, it's not going to be a quick fix. It's probably going to be another 1 or 2 windows, depending on who the owners are come July.
Yeah, we're certainly well past the one signing would fix things. I mean, we might even be past the point of one signing injecting enough energy into the team to see any change from it. Like it's a down time, isn't it? But at least we have no Liverpool business to keep us occupied. We can just glance jealously at the other clubs.
Well, the thing is, and it's probably the thing that's come to me most over the last little while, but definitely in the last 7 days or so, because you always hold out hope that Liverpool will do something, but obviously after the FA Cup game, Klopp said no, nothing will happen in this window, that's it, and you're kind of hoping he's telling you a lie, but I don't think it is. We've 50 odd minutes left in the transfer window and nothing's happened at Liverpool. But I think the thing that's got to me most over the last little bit is, by all means, you can be upset over the fact, like I was talking to Shawnee today, and Shawnee was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And just general WhatsApps to each other. And I said to him, "Shawnee, look, it's very simple. We were all told we all said we needed a midfielder in August, last summer, and Klopp adamant, no, he's okay, he's happy what he has, and then he kind of comes out, look, we've gone over this loads of times, but he comes out and says maybe I was wrong, and they get a midfielder because they felt then that he needed one. That midfielder has played 13 minutes for Liverpool Football Club as a sub away at Napoli, right? We've then seen Henderson and Fabinho in particular fall off a cliff. We've seen Curtis Jones be injured for the vast majority of this season. We've seen Elliott struggle because everything else around us is struggling, and he's being kind of a bit of a area you can kind of bash with because, it's down to Elliott, stuff like that. You have Thiago, who's injury prone and is trying to carry people. You have Bajcetic that no one even knew about when we were talking about this last summer. You have Milner, who's another year older. He is. Bertie was recently, wasn't it? And I just don't know how you come to the conclusion in January, 4 months after you've signed the player that you thought you needed and has played 13 minutes, who still hasn't come back, by the way, right? That you don't need something, And I'm all in for forward planning, and and they probably have something in place. We don't know that because, like I said on Sunday night, we don't hear anything, and that's a good thing at times. Don't get me wrong, but I think as a as a manager or as a club, Liverpool should. For me, and I said it before people jumped down my throat, they don't need to tell you anything. No, they don't. But I think some sort of reassuring words from Liverpool Football Club to say, listen, we know things, even to come out and go, it's been terrible, right? It's been terrible. We are looking at things. It's unfortunate that what we want to do cannot be done in this window, but we are definitely looking forward to the summer transfer window where we feel we'll have more funds, we'll have more availability of players that we want, more time to do it. And people will go, yeah, it's been shocking, you've made some bad decisions, but we're all in it together and let's push on, see where we can go because this is coming. And you're not getting any of that, And Liverpool, and even if you don't get that, Liverpool as a football club needed a midfielder. And we're still sitting here now with nothing. We're waiting, and I get Diaz and I get Jota and Firmino and Van Dijk and all. That's great, right? We're all coming back. But they can't play in midfield. They cannot play in midfield. And I don't care how well you can press up front. That midfield is struggling. We're now down to a midfield of an 18-year-old, right, who shouldn't have that. He's really good. We shouldn't have that on his shoulders. We have Thiago that could break down any minute. We know this, okay? And we've Naby Keita, that literally all we've talked about for the last 6 months is where is he going to go because his contract's going to run down. And listen, if he's on the pitch, great. I think he's a really good player. But we've spoken since last August about Keita will be gone, Henderson or Oxlade-Chamberlain will be gone, Milner will be gone. Milner comes on the other day for our fullback that we feel is one of the best fullbacks ever played for the club. He comes on the pitch. Keita starts. And Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think, is the last player to score a league goal for Liverpool. So, you know what I mean? It's for me, that's just why it's so frustrating to me. And we're just playing a guessing game because you can make arguments over FSG and you can actually make arguments over Klopp. Stubbornness, stinginess, whatever it might be, but everyone knows a midfielder should be brought in. And if you have to go, it was going to cost us 60 in the summer, it's going to cost us 80 in January, you need to do it. And that's where it comes back to where Shawnee says, if you're not doing it, you're writing off a season. Because Liverpool, for me, right now, look like they would struggle to win a game of football. That's just how it is. And we're 50 minutes away from going with these lads that are falling off cliffs, too young to have that responsibility on them, or not reliable enough. And that's where we are at the minute. Sorry for going on for so long, but that's where it is for me.
Well, it's good to see that you have some opinion to give on the matter, Gav.
Just
Kev?
a small one.
Gav, get you all fired up. You want to jump on that?
No, I'm pretty much resigned to this season already. I'm resigned to the window as well, to be fair, because I thought once we got Gakpo in early, if there was scope to do anything, they'd have done it early. There was no point in delaying. You're seeing it at the beginning of the window. The prices at the beginning of the window comparing to now are chalk and cheese. And it might have been a case of, look, you can have one or the other. You can't have both. Pick one. And the Gakpo deal came up, and at the time we had one fit forward available to us, and Gakpo was available then, and they decided to do that. They might not have had the quality in midfield, but they had numbers, and they had numbers coming back. And he gave his answer in the press conference recently that he felt the defending could be better if you had extra legs in up front to cope with it. He'll live and die by that decision at the end of the day. But I think they've bet the house on this summer. Klopp has bet the house and his job, I think, on this summer. Because if he doesn't get it right this summer, it will cost him his job. Nailed on.
I don't think that's a bad show either. Like Frank says, more funds, ? That's a lot of bollocks. And if you believe it, then you're as delusional as the dopes who believe in it. Frank, I'm far from fucking delusional. I can tell you that for nothing. Right? But what I'm saying to you is that because of the lack of information that comes out of Liverpool Football Club, right? And I include ownership stuff in that because genuinely there's nothing solid on a change of ownership at Liverpool. Nothing, right? So what I'm saying is because of not even 1 ounce of clarity in what Liverpool Football Club is doing, right? You can make the argument that more funds could be available in the summer. You could make the arguments that the funds could be there now and Klopp has just decided he doesn't want to use them. And you may think that's delusional, but that's the truth because you have no clarity whatsoever on what's going on, right? Whether you like it or not. You don't. You're going off people telling you on the internet that this is happening, that's happening. You know, look, I can't believe Pep Linders hasn't been just blamed completely for this transfer window because that was what was happening 2 weeks ago. So it's not delusional. It's basically not reading the internet and looking at what's going on and what's actually coming out of the football club, which is nothing. And I'm not asking for, put everything out on the table. But because there's nothing there, you can make an argument around anything at the moment. And listen, you're probably right if you think that the lack of funds is maybe the main issue coming from the owners. I completely get that. But you can still make an argument going the other way because of nothing's being clarified.
Well, just go back to a bit of breaking news a minute. Gianluca Di Marzo has said Everton had a bid rejected today for AC Milan striker Olivier Giroud. Oh. So you can add him to the list of players that Everton were linked to. Matt Doherty's move to Atletico Madrid is signed as a free agent. Spurs ripped up his contract by mutual consent and it allowed the Spanish club to sign him on a permanent deal. So Matt Doherty is now at Atletico Madrid. Nobody saw that coming this morning. Chelsea have agreed a British record fee for Enzo Fernandez. Arsenal's Lokonga has confirmed his move to join Crystal Palace on loan.
But Jorginho's done the other way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Dyche has left Finch Farm, but no business done at Everton.
They've been linked to Andre Ayew, was it?
Andre Ayew, that can be done at any time, though, because he's a free agent.
Yeah, which is amazing.
What else is going on?
Matter. It's Andre Ayew.
Yeah. I'm just scrolling down here now. Chelsea agreed the loan deal with PSG for Ziyech, so that's freed up a spot there for them. And then you're down to Bournemouth confirm another midfield signing, Hamed Traore from Sassuolo, on loan, which will become permanent in the summer.
Justin Collins in the chat says Everton were torn down for Ismaili Sarr from Watford as well.
Yeah, Forest have signed Felipe from Atletico Madrid.
Sorry, does anybody know what's going on in Nottingham Forest? Because every time I fucking turn on anything, it's like is John Joe Shelby going down there as well?
Yeah,
there's two more deals waiting to be done at Nottingham Forest.
Felipe's a really good defender. Like, you know, you kind of, and I'm no offense to Nottingham Forest, but it's like, what is going on?
Here we go.
Renan Lodi was a good player for Atletico just a couple of years ago too, and you turn Nottingham Forest on, you're like, Renan Lodi plays for.
Okay, the tap-in merchant himself has spoken. Keylor Navas to Nottingham Forest. Here we go. Agreement in place for a loan deal from PSG until the end of the season. Keylor has accepted Forest days ago and it's now sealed. Documents finally signed, done and dusted.
Is the other fella going back to United then?
No, he's injured.
Oh, okay.
So just on the Nottingham Forest one, I think what they've done in this window, they've done really well in terms of bringing experience in. They know they're in a dogfight. The main thing for them is to stay up, isn't it? So experience right through the spine. I don't think you can complain with that. You've got Navas coming in. You've got the centre-back you've just mentioned. You've got Shelby coming in for the experience. And then you've got Wood up front. They're not the greatest footballers in the world and they're not going to win all the trophies. But what they will do, they'll make sure the experience counts when it matters, which I think is quite a clever window for them.
Yeah, it feels like Nottingham Forest got to this point of the season, you know, the window's open and they looked around at the table, they looked at their squad and they looked at the teams below them and went, we can do this. You know, a little bit more. Like at this point, we've already bought 27 players. What's another 7 or 8? You know, just add them on because that should be enough to keep them up just because there's 3 teams that are, I think, far worse than Forest are. Get to this super chat we got from 1975 Jamrock. Said the need for Gakpo wasn't there in the summer and they were able to structure a £44 million deal in December. Jurgen Klopp didn't want the mid targets available in the summer. So, but it makes me think of what you were saying, Gav, and I don't know if anybody follows NBA basketball at all, but the Philadelphia 76ers had this same sort of mindset 5-6 years ago, and the mantra was trust the process. Trust the process. Because, you know, over here you can tank in North American sports and then you get rewarded with high draft picks. You can't do that in the Premier League, but it feels like if you need to have a season, like there's a difference for me between tweaking and transitioning the team and a rebuild. To me, a rebuild is drastic. A rebuild is when you trade your superstar players and you purposely try to get worse to get better. And it feels like we're in that situation because we're not in threat of going down. Being out of Europe isn't as big a threat going forward if we're going to be grandfathered in because of historic performances in the Champions League. So this process might not be a 1-2 window kind of view. It might be like a 5 or 6 window view. And I was talking with Stephen Murphy earlier today about this. And to me, it's starting to feel like the rebuild is going to be Klopp trying to have the next team built to hand off to whoever's coming next, as opposed to just squeezing every last drop out of the existing team as he walks out the door, kind of like Ferguson did, where he left United in a state, and then the next guy that got it, it was just a poison chalice. So I'm trying to stay positive because, like, there's a couple things we can all agree on. None of us know anything. The people at the club know much more about this and are much better at their jobs than we could ever possibly be. And they're not saying something. They have to know something that we don't know. Because if we can see that it's glaringly obvious that we need a midfielder, we need 1 or 2 midfielders, and they know more than us and are actually in the know, and they're not getting a midfielder, like, there has to be some explanation. There has to be a grander plan going on that we're not privy to.
I mean, it could be just as simple as FSG we don't know what's going on with the sale, and we won't know what's going on with the sale of the club probably until the window closes, because then it's just there's nothing left to talk about.
Yeah, but that's classic stuff, Kev.
Yeah,
the window
but
closes.
we've been there before.
You know,
we don't
we
comment on
get
anything
the same
until the
fucking
window
three
closes.
journalists will come out and tell you Liverpool are planning this for the summer.
Wow.
Liverpool tried for this in the last couple of days. Liverpool, and like the funny thing is, right? People will believe that, right? But the same journalists will tell you something 3 weeks earlier, and people won't believe that. You know, it's selective as to what you believe.
I'm not on about journalists. I'm on about in general. I don't think you're going to hear
But in general,
anything.
Kev, you think that. But
No, I just
but
don't think you were
but
going
the club
to
aren't
ever
gonna
hear
tell you
anything
nothing.
while the window was open.
the club are never going to tell you anything.
No,
We're
not
going
until
to.
there's
I said it
something to say.
earlier. We're going to sit now for 4 months, right? And there'll be a blame game that'll go on for 4 months, and the only distraction to that might be the odd game of football that Liverpool actually play, because that's what they're around for. And what it's going to be is the football will become a sideshow to a blame game that will go on for 4 months until the 28th of May, I think, when the season ends. And then we'll be straight into the 1st of June, and it'll be, who are Liverpool signing? And by the 3rd of June, it'll be like, why haven't we signed anybody? All right? And then that will go on and on and on and on until August the 31st. That's how it works. You know what I mean?
I think you're going to see a lot. I think you'll see. Remember, look, they did it. Dortmund did this with Sancho as well. But an announcement on where Bellingham's going to go will happen way before the end of the season. Probably as soon.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think no matter, and from that decision, if it's announced, say, after Dortmund are knocked out of the Champions League, that Jude Bellingham has decided to go to X club. Say X club is Liverpool in March. That sets you up. That gives you a boost as fans going into the summer. Okay, we can do that. Or he decides, look, Man City have had a massive clear out and they've freed up an awful lot of headroom for what potentially they could do. Jude Bellingham has decided to go to Man City. Then everyone starts looking at, they can go one of two ways. You can start looking at other targets and what's available to us in the summer, because every way you look at it, we have to bring bodies in the summer. That's just, has to happen. Irrespective of who the owners are, you physically need players. But the other side is, how much money is going to be available? Are we going to have new owners by the time the summer transfer window opens? All these questions are going to be down the line, and Klopp is going to have to field all of these. And he can only deflect it away for so much before his frustrations, or he will let something slip, or something gets out from the club. You know, because I can't for the life of me understand. I went Matt in some ways. These guys, they know how to build a club. They know how to get transfers done. We've seen how they can get transfers done and nobody know about it. And then bang, it's done. And it's not like they're signing Mickey Mouse players. You know, they're signing players that are highly touted and highly wanted across Europe. And I suppose trust the process is naive to an extent, because we are where we are now because of past decisions. But what else can you do? We can't influence anything.
And to
as
be
fans,
fair, the process in this case has the 76ers as one of the best teams in basketball currently. You know?
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I know. But I understand the frustration. But the other side of me is like, I've seen the rise and fall so many times over my lifetime that, yeah, we're on a downward spiral at the minute. It will get back up. It's going to be harder next time because we won't have a free hit next time.
And there's some clubs that are spending to such an extent as to try to buy out the dip. They're trying to spend so much money that they get rid of the dip so that they just stay at the top. It's just it's a way of franchising effectively.
Well, this is what we should have been doing, though. We should have been starting this process 3 years ago. For us now to be in this, for us now to be in this situation and still having this conversation, it's nuts. It's a generational manager for me personally that I might never see again. And he's been, let's say, I wouldn't say robbed, but there's potential that he's being robbed of actually winning more trophies than he's actually won. What he's done for this club with the resources he's had available is unbelievable. And what they're doing to him now is hanging him out to dry. My worry for this Bellingham deal is, if this doesn't go through in the summer, what then? Because we've seen with Klopp that he has one target and it's all the eggs in one basket. And if he doesn't sign him, then what?
But he needs more than Dom. He needs more than one basket, because Jude Bellingham doesn't come in and just magically changes this midfield, because it's like genuinely, it's not like you could say a loss of form, but for me, Fabinho and Henderson have just fell off cliffs. No legs in them, no drive in them, And we say, like, oh, do you need a rest? Like, okay, Henderson went to the World Cup. Fabinho did too, but Fabinho didn't. I don't even know he kicked the ball at the World Cup. But like, it wasn't the most strenuous time, those 6 weeks, and they've come back, right? And Henderson, I don't think Henderson has started since Brighton away in the league, right? And he's come on 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and still can't start a game of football at Liverpool. So, even I've said it loads of times. Even if you sign Jude Bellingham, it should be done as a side thing to what you're actually looking to do in the market. You sign 2 midfielders and Bellingham is your third one coming in. You can't just, like, and even saying that, right? All this eggs in the basket for Bellingham, we don't know where Jude Bellingham's going. We have nothing to say that Jude Bellingham is signing for Liverpool, apart from, for me, Henderson and Trent spend a lot of time on in Qatar. Other than that, we have nothing, right? And we're trying to base the fact that we're doing nothing now on Bellingham will happen in the summer. Wherever Bellingham is going is decided. We don't know where that is. I think it's decided. We don't know where it is. But if we don't sign Bellingham, you still need to go out and sign 3 midfielders. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's just, I think it's a mess. Sorry, Matt, I left you a WhatsApp there as well because something come up there and I just wanted to make sure you've seen it. I don't know. Any more news, Kev, before we keep going? Kev's muted.
Kev muted himself. I bet you it was breaking, though, whatever he had.
All right, my mistake. No, my missus just came home from work. She wanted to tell me something. The only thing that's broken in the last few minutes, Burnley signed a teenage winger from Anderlecht, Ajayi, 18-year-old kid. Something on Everton again. Giroud not interested in the Everton move. He's decided to... He's basically decided his future's not in Merseyside. But yeah, other than that, we're still waiting. 30 minutes to go on an awful lot of deals still waiting to be confirmed.
Okay. And this could go on till 12 o'clock, couldn't it? Because they get so long afterwards.
Yeah, they get a 2-hour extension.
If they haven't put the ink in the fax machine or someone put it out on the way out and stuff like that. But yeah.
We'll check the work of those interns that are in charge of your fax machine. That's the most important thing, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, let's see. We got a half an hour until the window closes gently. Dom, what piece of business from around the Premier League have you liked the most?
As I mentioned before, I thought Forest. I thought they've had a really smart window. That's my honest opinion. I think if you look at them probably in a couple of months' time, with the experience they've brought into that squad, I think they'll be in a far better situation than they are. They did start getting results. Fair play. I genuinely thought Everton were going to pull a couple out the bag today.
So did I.
For them not to do that, wow, I am shocked by that. Because I spoke to a couple of the Blues as well. They got rid of Lampard and waited a week before they got Dyche, before that was over the line. I think that's criminal. But I'm not going to really be too sad about that because they can go down and stay down for all I care. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say Chelsea. People think that they don't have a plan, but what you're seeing with them is they're starting to get the legs out the door when are starting to go. Jorginho's won a lot of things. Don't get me wrong, he's won a lot, but he's at 31 going on to 32. They're bringing in young talent in all positions across the pitch. They're planning for the next 5 or 6 years. So bringing Enzo into that, it's a terrifying prospect as long as it gels. My only worry for Chelsea is how long is Potter going to last with these names? A lot of money. It's probably not him buying these players or choosing these players. And is it going to be an overwhelming situation for him? It could be the case.
Yeah. I'm hoping everybody got the chance to see the Mark Cucurella interview.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Tell them what happened, just in case people haven't seen it.
So Mark Cucurella is doing an interview for Chelsea in-house TV, and the question that's asked to him is, who is the most intelligent player on the team? And he answers very confidently, Jorginho. And he starts to try to explain how smart Jorginho is, and the guys off camera have to be like, I don't think he plays for us anymore. And you get to watch Mark Cucurella live here, that somebody who he obviously got along with is now playing for Arsenal. Quite delightful. Check that out. Kev, whose business has caught your eye?
There's two really. Arsenal have done well. They've done probably the best of the sides that are in the top four. They've given themselves a good chance of holding on, really. I don't get the Jorginho one. I don't get that deal at all. 12 million for a guy, like I said, 31, 32 years of age, whose legs have clearly gone, to stand in for Thomas Partey, who's the engine room of that Arsenal side, is bizarre. I mean, yeah, he's got experience to burn, but anyone who's watched him this season can see how much he's fallen off a cliff in exactly the same way as Fabinho and Jordan Henderson have. The cliff is like well occupied with players that went and played 50 plus games last year. 2024.
So it's only an 18-month deal.
It's an 18-month deal, but they paid 12 million quid for him. Plus, I think he was on 5 million a year wages at Chelsea, so they'd have matched that.
180,000 a week, something like that.
Yeah, so it's by far from a cheap deal. And
possibly have anything to do with somebody's bail not lasting until the end of the season.
Possibility.
Yeah, well, we won't go into that.
No, but if that was the case, they'd have kept Lukonga around. The other one for me was Brighton holding off Arsenal for Moses Caicedo.
Well,
the fact that
he's made
did. Oh yeah,
I'll have my go in a minute. Go on.
He's made a pig's ear of it, but the fact that they did what Dortmund did to Manchester United with Jadon Sancho first time round is basically, look, that's the price, meet it, or go away and come back when you've got a better offer. And they literally they held their nerve. They wanted to keep the player. They're in 6th place in the league with I think they have one game in hand to Spurs. They have a real shot at getting into Europe legitimately this season. And the fact that he changed his agent, I mean, you carry on, Gav. What he did was ridiculous, but hopefully he'll learn from it.
I think Arsenal have done well. The Trossard one is a really good bit of business because when you look at Martinelli and Saka have been brilliant. Jesus has been out. Wasn't in great form, but he was knitting everything together for them. And Nketiah has come in and been like a sensation for them. But it's a long season. And Saka, Martinelli will see drops at times. And even Nketiah might see drops. And Trossard's the sort of fella that can play anywhere across that front three. And he has got experience in the Premier League of playing a fair amount of games in it, I think, as well. I'm not too sure how many games he's played in the Premier League, but he's been around a couple of years. He can see a season now. I think that's a really good bit of business. He's a much better player than people actually give him credit for. And I think it was 27 million, which is nothing nowadays, isn't it? Not really. The Jorginho one, I kind of see what they're trying to do. Like the 18-month deal, that's why I asked on the length of it. Because I'd say what they're going to do is they're going to bring him in. They'll look to bring another one in the summer. And you'll probably see Jorginho leave this time next year. Do you know that sort of way? And 12 million quid means nothing to them, especially if it helps them over the line in a Europa League or the league title or whatever. So that's really good. They've also signed a Polish fella who plays centre-back or midfield. So they've strengthened in these positions. I don't think they're going to do anything else in the next 30 minutes or whatever. But overall, Arsenal have not gone too... They tried to go drastic with Caicedo, but they haven't gone too drastic. They've just kind of went one up front. It's an extra bit. Smith Rowe has been out injured and continues to be, so that kind of makes sense with Trossard. One in midfield, which is fine. Lukonga wasn't really getting the look in. They're probably still a bit light in there, but Jorginho's experience probably helps them out and can probably... People are saying about if Partey goes out, but Partey plays alongside Xhaka. You know what I mean? So you can... Xhaka, for me, not the most mobile player in the world. Gets his foot in, good left foot. Jorginho's a bit the same, so you could probably rotate with Xhaka a bit more than Partey, for me. And then at the back, they've brought in a centre-back because Saliba and Gabriel, isn't it? They've been fairly ever-present. And just another guy in there to bring in and bring him into the side 20, 30 minutes here and there and blood him in as the season goes. And you can get away with it a little bit in certain games, maybe. I think they've been really good. The Caicedo thing is absolutely insane, though, because Moses Caicedo, even when he came back from the World Cup, was at 60 million quid, right? 50 to 60 million. That was the number. There was nowhere north of that. It was like this guy's played something like 31 games in England. He's been really, really good. But 60 million, Brighton. Now Trossard's sale might have just Yeah, Brighton are willing to sell too. But what is he doing coming out on social media? That only makes Brighton turn around and go, we've sold Cucurella for 60 million quid here. We've sold Trossard for 27 million here. You know, we're in the Premier League. We make a lot of money. We don't need to sell you, okay? And this is the way we're going to go about it. If he goes privately and says, look, is there any chance we can do something here? He might have got it done. But by doing that, I just looked and went. And that's when I knew Liverpool weren't involved. That's when I knew Liverpool weren't involved when I seen that going on. I actually thought it was Chelsea. That's what I thought was going on. But he absolutely wrecks it for himself. Now, I could be wrong. In 20 minutes' time, he could be announced as an Arsenal player. But he absolutely wrecks it for himself. And Brighton have just decided, no, we're not getting fucked around here. And as Kev said, they're in a really good position to challenge to go into Europe. You know, and what's Europe worth to them? So overall, I think Arsenal has been really good. Chelsea are just signing that many players I can't keep up. They're probably all brilliant. But I just can't keep up. United have done well today in Sabitzer because Eriksen's thing. And Weghorst is doing the job that he's meant to do for them. Big, strong, links play a little bit, gets the odd goal. But other than that, it's been fairly uneventful for me. Nottingham Forest is just mad. Yeah. Like, if Forest go down, what goes on there? Do you know what I mean? Like,
to me,
what goes on?
To me, the biggest shock of the window to me was the immediacy of João Cancelo being gone. Of just, like, that story came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden it was like, and Cancelo looks like he's going to Bayern, and it's done. He's gone to Bayern. Like,
yeah, but I think that's been going on for a little while because he's been out of that side a little bit, and there was murmurings a couple of weeks ago that he wasn't happy, and then apparently there was a big bust up when he wasn't in the team to face Arsenal in the FA Cup, where City were said to be resting a couple, and Cancelo will consider himself probably should be in the first team because they've a young fella playing a right back, haven't they? And you know, he probably thought, well, I'm definitely playing in that. All right, I'm not getting in the team at the moment, but I'm definitely playing. And then he doesn't, and then it's like, right. And
I actually seen a stat on Cancelo that he hadn't been involved in a Manchester City win from the start of a game since October, and during the World Cup, Portugal dropped him to the bench. He's another one. His form has fallen off a cliff, and he had a parting dig at Pep as well, that he joined Bayern Munich to win the Champions League. You know,
yeah.
so
Well, that looks like it's a loan. Is there an obligation to buy at the end of that or not?
No, there's the option is €70 million, but that's up to Bayern. I mean, the Sabitzer one for me. Sabitzer hasn't completed 90 minutes since September. You know, he's back up to Fred and McTominay, and yeah, he's all right. But I think he's played 1 minute of football in the last 3 games for Bayern. His move to Bayern has been a complete flop, to be honest. He's got 2 years left in his deal there, 2.5 years left in his deal. The hope is he can go to Manchester United and revive himself and become an asset that they can sell in the summer. But his career...
So there's no option to buy at Sabitzer?
No, it's just a straight loan. It's just a straight loan.
Mohammed with a super chat, he says, the Flayed, we didn't sign a midfield. Our mountain of work to do in the summer. Our rivals will do more business, so will we even catch up? Is it all doom and gloom, lads? Yeah? Is it like, we're off, it's finished?
No. I've just seen something come out before, which I thought was a bit mad, and it's usually something FSG do. But Carragher putting on about the selling Melwood to LFC ladies.
Yeah.
That's
so Liverpool sell Melwood to
Carragher and Fowler.
Yeah. And now it looks like Liverpool might be buying it back to house the women's team in it.
Mental.
But I'd imagine there's more to it than that. Because I think ultimately their goal is to move the women's team away from playing games at Tranmere and to build a purpose-built, maybe 7,000 or 8,000 seaters, 10,000 seater stadium there over time. I mean, there was. It's funny, you know. Chris put out a tweet earlier on. The women's side have brought 5 players in, all frees, and. You know, they'll stay safe and they'll stay in the WSL. But in the WSL today, there was Arsenal and Manchester United at a tug of war over a player that would have been the most expensive player in women's football history at £500,000.
Yeah. So
that shows you the disparity in the game between the obscene figures you're seeing spent by all clubs in the Premier League this window. Because there is one thing that can be said about this transfer window as a whole. Across all of the clubs, there's not one bit of value in any of it. Nothing. It's been a horrific window in terms of trying to find something for good value for money. It's like European clubs now have decided, look, if the Premier League come calling, and it doesn't matter who you are, what club you are, you're going to get hammered and you're going to pay a maximum price for everything, especially in January. And when your back is against the wall, Enzo Fernandez is a prime example. Good player, had a really good World Cup, won the World Cup, fantastic. He's achieved nothing in football as a club level, apart from having a really good season at Benfica, and he's moving for a British record transfer fee. I mean, come on, where's the rhyme and logic and reason for that? And apparently the payment structure that Chelsea wanted to do, Benfica wouldn't do. They wanted the 105 million in 3 payments over 2 years. And if Chelsea have agreed to that, it really could hamper them on what they're able to do going forward. Because any club now looking to buy a Chelsea player know that Chelsea have to sell in the summer, and they can drive that price down as long as the player makes it known that I only want to go to that club, i.e. Mason Mount. If Mason Mount becomes available in the summer and says, look, I want to go to, say, Manchester United, I will only go to Manchester United, then Manchester United can hammer them down on a price because they have to sell. They've, in some ways, they've strengthened their team. And as long as everything gels, they've committed to an awful lot of money over the next 7 years. But it could really hamper them down the line in the same way as it did with Atletico Madrid when they've got their takeover. They signed João Felix for a ridiculous amount of money on a 7.5-year contract, and he's on loan at Chelsea now. Sal Niguez, they couldn't wait to get him out on loan because he was on a ridiculous amount of money, and they guaranteed him a pay rise every year, but they signed him to a 7-year contract. And then during the third or fourth year, he was on over 200 grand a week, playing crap and guaranteed 4 more pay rises. And they're stuffed with him, and it's cost them massively. So much so that they've had to go to Barcelona from Memphis Depay for 2 million. If this all works out peachy for Chelsea, so many things have to fall in place for it to be absolutely right. There's so many things that can go really badly wrong for them in the next 2 seasons. And who knows, if Graham Potter isn't the manager and they bring someone else in, is he going to fancy half of these players? Is it a case that from now on they're going to sign head coaches?
Yeah, I get the feeling at Chelsea, though, if Potter isn't picking these players, there's probably an agent. There's probably an agent of a manager working in the background helping with these signings, where it's like they're really good players. Give them to him. If it doesn't work, though, we have a guy over here that loves all these players and would love to work with them. Can I ask you a question? We're talking about who's had a good window and stuff like that, but when you look down the bottom, Southampton have done a bit, Bournemouth have done a bit. I don't know what Wolves have done. Forest have done a bit. Leeds got Weston McKinney, which is a really good signing. But go on, I'll go Dom and then Matt and then Kev, whatever. But Dom, down the bottom, when you look at this window for where their people are in the league and what they've done, who do you fear, or who you have worries over?
Ooh, I think Everton are definitely down. You can come back to this one. It is what it is. I think by them not improving, we've still got time. It might be a different thing, but I think by them not improving, by bringing Dyche in and expecting him to keep them up without maybe his players, I think it's just asking too much. So that they're my 100%. I did look around and think the likes of Bournemouth will get dragged into it. Wolves will get dragged into it. Potentially Leeds, but I thought the Weston McKennie signing, I think it's fantastic business. How they've pulled that out, I don't know. I thought he was brilliant in the World Cup.
He's coming from Juventus, I think that's how.
Yeah, he's a solid player, but I would have expected more clubs sniffing around him. I can't really say other than one team that hasn't strengthened. I did think Bournemouth would get dragged in. They've spent a lot of money, 50 million, on 2 signings recently. And if it doesn't work out for them and they take longer, I think they'll be in that dogfight. Southampton the same. They've got a lot of youth in the side, not much experience. It could be anyone out of that, maybe bottom 6 or 7. I expect West Ham to improve. I can't see them being dragged into it. I think Moyes know how in the Premier League and how to win games will get them through that. But yeah, there's quite a few teams that could get dragged into this, but I can't say who for definite other than the other side.
Yeah, because like Jono says there, they had to bring in Deutsch. What other option did they have? No, I don't think that's the point. I think the fact that they let Lampard go, you said it earlier, Dom, they let Lampard go and they wait nearly a week to get Deutsch in, and they only announced him yesterday. So they announced him 36 hours before the window closes.
Just on that, Gav, do you think they've done that knowing that they might not have been able to get signings in, or they never had the funds available?
I think, honestly, I think Deutsch goes there and they say to him, listen, Sean, we've no fucking money. Right? That money that's gone on what's his face, 40 million or whatever, and it's just, we needed that in. You know what I mean? We actually needed that just to cover whatever. And he's agreed to it. He's clearly read a script when he's reading out all the lovely words he says about Everton. And they both agree, look, let's just make it a really good news day on Monday, and we'll barrel through Tuesday, and from Wednesday onwards the work starts. And like, genuinely, if they don't bring anybody in, he has one. Like, I'll put it this way: if they don't bring anybody in, that would be a fucking miracle if he keeps them up. And I mean that. And I know they're only 3 points off safety, but it would be an absolute miracle, because when I look at them, and look, we're playing them in 2 weeks, we could lose to them, like, because Liverpool are all over the fucking place, and people are telling you there Liverpool are 12 points off the relegation zone. You know what I mean? And like, you laugh about that, but that's the cold hard truth of it. And Liverpool don't look like winning a football match at the moment, and that's just the way it is. But with Everton, they're literally going to place all their eggs in a Sean Dyche basket that was relegated last season, more or less. He was sacked before they were relegated, but he was the main man at Burnley for the vast majority of it. And it's just a 2.5 year deal. I get the feeling that Sean Dyche and Everton have agreed, listen, you do your absolute best with what you have there. If we stay up, brilliant. If we go down, you stay on as manager in the Championship with us. That's what it feels. It feels a bit to me like a bit of forward planning, no matter what way it goes, that Sean Dyche should be Everton manager come next season. That's what I feel. Matt, go on, you can have a go on who you're worried for.
I really like Dom, you're the first person I've heard mention the idea of them timing it in such a way to cover up the fact that they've got no money to bring any players in, because you just look at their transfers and it's just Anthony Gordon leaving for £40 million. And I think when all of us saw that, I presume that they'd get 2-3 players, bang, like that Dyche would have a list there of, I want this, this, and this, bring me a couple old Burnley guys in that company's willing to get rid of, sort of thing, maybe. Nothing's happened for them. It's just not a good look. And it's the only thing that can keep you from being doom and gloom as a Liverpool fan today. At the end of the day, our window saw us bring in Cody Gakpo. Think about him what you will. And all Everton did was lose one of their only players who might know where the net is.
That's the big worry, because Dyche can definitely get them, defending better. He'd probably go with a back five. He made it. Burnley, I think he went back 4.
A slog to play against. Everton is
I think they always kind of went 4-4-2 at Burnley. Tarkowski and me were a centre back, and they were really strong. But I think Burnley have more of a threat going forward than Everton have. Bar Demarai Gray, I just look at that Everton striker line and go, what is there? Like Dwight McNeil, he knows him from Burnley, but and it just feels so toothless. And Andre Ayew was being linked and stuff, like it's just, I think Dom's right. I think they've timed it where it's like a good news day on Monday, because we'll just get through Tuesday and then see where we go. Kev, are you worried for Everton or anybody else, or Liverpool?
Everton are in deep trouble. I mean, the fact that they had 45 million up front, they got that payment up front from Newcastle for Anthony Gordon. It's massive that they didn't do anything with it. If it's a case that they need that funds to function as a club between now and the end of the season, they're in a lot more trouble than anyone thought. Scandalous, really, that they haven't signed anyone. Southampton have done a few bits. There's Sulamina, I think his name is. 22 million was paid for him in this. I don't know if it was Bournemouth or Southampton he's gone to. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they signed him from Rennes, 22-year-old winger, and if he carries on playing how he plays, he's going to be a frightening player in the future. I think with Southampton, he's gone to. He could be the next. He could be their Sadio Mane in a few years' time. They've gone back to that model of buying that player who's just about to break through, needs a couple of years of exposure at a top level, and look to sell him on. Leeds done good business, yeah, 100%. West Ham have done nothing, and given how stale
Danny Ings.
Oh, Danny Ings, yeah, but where's Danny Ings?
Injured again. He's out for 3 weeks. He is.
This is the thing.
Has
you
he
can't
played?
trust him.
He come on a sub appearance.
He's come on a sub, yeah.
No way.
Right, there's breaking news there. Spurs seal a deal for Pedro Porro, loan with an obligation to buy in the summer.
Right.
£39 million, right wing back.
39 million?
£39 million.
Wow.
Is he the one that was at Spurs and they let him go?
No,
he's at
that's Marcus Edwards, the winger. But Pedro Porro is Spanish. He's been at Sporting Lisbon for a while.
He was at City.
Yeah, he was a City originally. Then he went to Sporting and he's kicked on again. But he's rapid. He's got an engine on him to get up and down, and he can put quality into the box.
Down. Spurs wing backs just stay back.
This is the thing. He's not very good defensively.
Okay.
Defensively, he's an issue. But going forward, he's an absolute bundle of energy. But they did the same. This is very similar kind of a signing to Reguilon. So Reguilon in Spain was really good. They got him in, and yeah, he had a really good few months when he first came into the club, and then he just disappeared. He's back in Spain now.
Jed Spence gone out on loan from
Jed Spence has gone out. Yeah, he's gone out on loan to
Ryan Gill.
Yeah, that
Ryan Gill,
little 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, he's gone back to Spain again. Same club. I don't know if it's Seville or Real Betis.
Yeah.
Seville. Oh, and what's his name? Hector Bellerin has gone to Sporting Lisbon from Barcelona.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because of the parcel. But didn't Hector Bellerin turn up at Barcelona when they needed players and
pretty much
paying them a tenner a week or something? But it's
one thing I wanted to ask you guys.
The Jed Spence one is weird.
No, it's not. Conte never wanted him in the first place.
No, I'm not saying. I'm not going to Rennes is a bit weird.
No, it's a really good place to go.
Good young
side. What I'm saying is he was really good in the Championship with Forest on loan from Middlesbrough. Right, Spurs come in and pay a load of money for him. Right, they've loaned him out to Rennes. Like, why aren't they loaning him? Why aren't they going to Forest and going, listen, you love players, right? You really love players, and this fella is good. What do you fancy this for 6 months? Like,
I reckon there's a probable.
Nico Williams for us. They didn't need another.
But I think there's a problem with Premier League clubs, and you saw it with Fulham today. They signed Cedric, they had to make what's his name? Ireland international Shane Duffy. Yeah. They had to make him permanent. You're only allowed to sign 2 players from English clubs in the Premier League, so it might just be a case that the clubs they wanted to deal with, or who would have taken a wing back who plays with a back three. Really, he is a wing back. How many of those are able to take a player on loan and need a wing back like Jed Spence? I think Rennes is a good move for him. It takes him out of the spotlight. He can go and play. He'll play in France, and it's a really good
from the spotlight this year, Kev. It's
a really good development league. It's a good development club. They really are very good at bringing players through, and it'll do him no harm to go away and learn his trade. But the thing is, when the manager doesn't want you at the club, and he's made it plain as day, he doesn't want him there. He was brought in over his head, and he had to go. He had to go somewhere. It just so happens that they got. I just
think if he's so highly rated, like even the likes of a Newcastle
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, 5 minutes. But the likes of a Newcastle going in and saying he's really fucking good. Let's go in with 15 million for him. Take him out of there, and you know what I mean. If it doesn't happen, we'll make our money back. But if it does, he's a good backup for Trippier. You know, the sort of way, something along them lines. I don't know, like maybe a missed opportunity, like a loan to Rennes with it's just a straight loan, I presume. Yeah. But I think it might be a little bit of a missed opportunity for a club to come in there and go, tell you what, can we have him on loan and we pay you 15 million an option and see how he goes, and you might end up making your money on him, or seeing his full potential. But maybe yeah.
With Spurs though, I think like these signings that they're pulling out the bag, they pull players out the bag 40 million here and there, and they still complain that they're not signing anyone. Conte has had a lot of money, and he seems to dig his heels in. He seems to get these signings over the line, and then when he doesn't like someone, he just washes his hands with them, and then sees his own backside, doesn't he? So if this doesn't go well, how many right backs are they going to go through before they actually keep one?
Well, the thing with Conte is that, like, there's a bit of unrest at Spurs as well, because the talk is that the owner will be willing to listen to offers for his share, and Conte is known for not sticking around for too long. You know, if Spurs finish 6th or something like that, you know, or 7th or whatever it might be, Conte would be just like, I'm not interested in this. Like, he only wants to manage in the Champions League, let's be honest about it. He wants to go into Champions League clubs, spend 2.5 years there, try win something and move on, you know, on to the next one. Because his style, not even style of football, I just think the way he works, you'll only get 2 years out of it, where players will kind of go, yeah, I'll go with this, and then players are going to go, oh, not interested, you know, the sort of way. So it's the Spurs one is a bit mad, and everyone's a bit mad, and the Chelsea stuff, it's all a bit mad when you think about it. We haven't even touched on United. You know, United, usually if they're in this position where they're playing well, they just go, bang, we're signing a big one here. You know, we're going to, whether that's a Berbatov or someone like that, but nothing really seems to be going on there. And everything is a bit mad at the moment, right down to what's going on at City. Like, even that Cancelo one is a bit strange. Like, you'd expect City to get rid of him and just pull one out of the bag today. You know, like, with their power, with their financial power, they go, there's a problem with Cancelo here. Let's go, and we're going to sign this fella because Cancelo's gone. Newcastle's mad. I'd seen the other day, Newcastle spent £300 million without taking a penny back in on selling players, which is insane. So all of them are a bit mad on different levels. But we wait and see. But, you know, it's the window's just about to close, and
still nothing coming through on anything.
Here's the name I just learned of that's moved. Iosi Perez left Leicester, went to Celta Vigo or Betis, maybe Betis.
Yeah, Betis.
Yeah, and Torgan Hazard is at PSV on loan from Dortmund.
He's gone there.
Okay. Yeah, it said that Hazard went to management at Dortmund and said he wanted a loan so he could actually play more.
Yeah,
fair play to him.
Yeah.
You'll always get a few like that that just see a 6-month gap to try to do something and get a move. But like, there's just loads of it's all genuinely when you look at some of all the clubs nearly are kind of going, that's mad, isn't it? You know, right through. Like, we've spoken about how many clubs tonight, and you kind of go, that's a bit mad. You know, Forest, Everton, you know, Arsenal makes sense in fairness, but Chelsea's mad. Like, there's just loads of it there. But look, the window will close now, and then we just have to get back to the football, unfortunately.
Well, just before we do that, just with Liverpool, I'm really looking forward to this window closing. Because I think it might, you know, it is what it is. Once it's closed, it's done, and we can stop going on about signing someone. It's not happening.
But it won't.
No, it's
genuinely it won't. It won't. It's like all you're going to hear from tomorrow right through to the 28th of May, I think, when the season ends, is all about Liverpool transfers, who they're in for, who they're not in for, why they went in for people. That's all you're going to hear.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it'll be a couple months of shoulda, woulda, coulda, and then we can start looking forward to the next window. That's all it ever is.
It's closed now anyway. It's all done.
I'm not looking forward to any window.
Now, who wants to guess which one Sky Sports will come out with now in the next 90 seconds going, it's a late deal, and they're just waiting to see if they got the paperwork in on time. You know, who will it be?
I don't know if the Enzo Fernandez deal has gone through.
Oh, I would say it is. Said in the chat that it was reported on the BBC for British record 105.
Mate, I've got the Sky Transfer Centre up on another screen, and it's literally a lot of talk and a lot of it's almost there. It's very close.
Well, that'll be the one that's talking about.
Paperwork is being done. Yeah, look, it's just going to. They'll just apply.
That's for the drama.
An extension. Yeah.
There wasn't that 1 year ago where Jermaine Defoe moved about 2 days after the transfer window, and it was like, how were you doing this? And they were like, oh no, like they had the things in at 5 to 12, but it just took ages to process.
Chris Golding makes a good point there. Yuri Tillemans is still at Leicester.
Yeah,
You know, all of like James Maddison is still at Leicester. All of the talk through the window and before the window, X player, Y player will be up for sale. Enzo Fernandez aside, is there any midfielder in this window that's moved? Do you think, yeah, we really missed the trick on that one? I'd say Weston McKennie maybe one.
Mm.
But
Well, if he'd have kept this, if he'd have done the right things, it's Moises Caicedo.
I think
Yeah.
I was on a Brighton pod yesterday, and I said to the guys that I was on there with, there was a way to do that Caicedo deal for any club who wanted them to go in 2 weeks before the window open, get the deal quietly agreed. That it was just a case of, look, this is how much you want, this is how much we're willing to pay. Get it done. Then quietly let Brighton go and get their business done without advertising the fact that they've got a rake of money to invest. Now, the window's closed. Everyone knows he's going to be going in the summer. Brighton are going to be... There's no point in being cash rich with a day to go in the transfer windows. It's absolutely pointless. They did the right thing. But they're going to walk into the summer and he'll be one of the first ones out the door.
Forrest
Brighton
have
will have
signed Shelby on a 2.5-year deal.
Brighton will be really cash rich coming into the summer. And clubs will see them coming. So they know the model now. If Brighton are going after a player, it's because he's highly rated. You know, and they won't be able to get a free run at a lot of players anymore.
Sean says, I agree, if FSG don't sell before the summer, Klopp will walk. You see, that's fine if you say that, right? But my thing on that is that you don't know, and I don't know, what is actually happening. Like, genuinely, they could be all sitting in a room going, lads, we're not going to do that in this summer, or this January. We have this done and we have that done and we're looking to do this. What do you think? Yeah. Do you know what? I'll go with these lads, and wherever it might be, will be once you're on the understanding that it could go wrong and we could end up, and they're going, yeah, don't worry about it. We don't know. Like, and there's actually more evidence that Klopp is towing an FSG line than Klopp is turning around and has an issue with FSG. That's the truth. Like, and I know it's hard to listen to, but that is the truth. If you take it, if you watch what Jurgen Klopp says, he says it right in front of you on a screen out of his own mouth. You don't have to read it or to paraphrased or fucking broken down into nice fucking tweets where people go, what the fuck? And it turns out you didn't read the whole comment. If you watch what Jurgen Klopp says, there is more of an argument to say he's aligned with FSG than he is upset. That's the truth. You know what I mean? And that's why, like, they all should be blamed as a collective. If you're going to blame them as a collective. You may want FSG out of the club. You may feel, which I think, they would struggle to compete because of what's going elsewhere, right? What's going on elsewhere. But if you're going to tell them they're great from whatever year to whatever year because they've won all this stuff and they play brilliant football and given you some of the best days and nights and hangovers of your life, you do as a collective, you know, Klopp is this and Klopp great, build a statue of Edwards, you know, and now when this is happening, it's like, it's definitely that, and it's not. It's a collective. It's a collective. It's the owners. It's the recruitment team. It's the analytics within the team. It's the manager. It's the assistant manager. It's the players. It's a collective of what's going wrong at Liverpool. 100%. And as a collective, they need to sort it, right? But we heard it in the summer. We heard it a little bit coming up to January. But then again, that's all rumour and speculation. But we're literally down, for me, to a last chance alone to sort this squad. Genuinely, right? Because wherever you think of whatever player, right, on the evidence of what you see in front of you, right, you need to do something to this squad, and you need to do something drastic if you want to compete in any way. Forget the financial side of it. Just to compete, to win games of football at this stage, you need to do something, and that's where Liverpool stand at the moment, and that's where I keep going back to it. And you know, I've had mates say to me, Gav, they're never going to tell you what's going on. I don't expect them to tell you everything. But if we got some little bit of just assurance from the club, yeah, it's bad. I've said it earlier. Yeah, it's bad, but we're working on it, and don't worry, we're fully committed to making this right and stuff like that. People will actually take that and go, that's fine. Majority will take it and go, that's fine. Let's walk through the season. Let's support it to the end of the season. Whatever will be. And they've told us this is what's going to happen. But right now, there's nothing there. And You can argue it any which way but loose, but I'm telling you, it's all just speculation in most people's brains. That's all it is.
But the only thing that's happened here at the minute, Manchester United put a late deal sheet in for Sabitzer that hasn't been confirmed yet. They've got an hour.
Confirmed ages ago.
Nope. They put they filed the deal sheet before 11, so they've got until midnight to finalise the loan. Apparently, it is on track, so it should get done.
Yeah,
other than that, there's Shelby's got his pictures in the Nottingham Forest shirt, blah blah blah, and that's about it. There's nothing else happening at the minute.
LFC R786 says, please answer me. Do you really think Klopp would turn down the 75 million needed to get Caicedo this January? Genuinely? Well, we don't. We all love Moises Caicedo as a player. But again, nothing has come out of Liverpool Football Club to say that they're looking at Moises Caicedo. Nothing. Right? We all love him as a player. We think 70 million, go and sign him. Absolutely. I'd give it tomorrow. 70, 75, I'm the manager, yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that if you're going to criticise them, it has to be as a collective until you know what's going on. You know what I mean? It's like you see a group of people and something's happened and you go, well, one of them done it. So we have to question all this group of people. We can't just decide that it was him and we just say it's him and that's it, right? And this is what I'm saying. Would he turn it down? I don't know. But you have to remember the words out of Klopp's mouth was, all our issues can't be sorted with just money. That's what he said. All our issues at the moment cannot just be sorted with money. Okay? Then he says nothing will happen in the transfer window. He's clearly said in the last while that, I'm happy with what he said this in the summer. And then he kind of half admits and gets a player that doesn't play and still doesn't go and do it. Like LFCR's at 76, come on, Gav. What do you want me to say to you? What do you want me to say to you? Klopp wouldn't turn it down. So, okay, hold on. No, Klopp would not turn it down, right? So now we're going to blame the people that give Klopp the money and say, you didn't give Klopp the money, right? But I'm also telling you that Klopp could do anything. Could do anything. He offered that player, not the right player. They went in for Tchouaméni in the summer. Everyone knows that. And what happened? They didn't sign another midfielder. Why? Because the talk is that no, Klopp wanted him. That's who he wanted, and he wasn't willing to go anywhere else. So this is what I'm saying to you. It's all the time. We always have to pick a side and go bang. Blame the whole lot of them. Because you know what? If they made 2 signings in this January and went and got top 4, what would we do at the end of the season? Oh, fair play to the club. They got them 2 signings done. Fair play to Julian Ward. Fair play to Jurgen Klopp. Fair play to him. And everyone would get a slap on the fucking back. Right? Everyone. Do you know why they all get a slap on the back? Because nobody really knows what they fucking do or who had what input. So just slap them all on the back. So if that's the case, you have to go back and turn around and say, all of them are at fault. What is Pep Linders saying? And Pep Linders has a right to fucking say something. He's the assistant manager of the football club. It's not like he's just there entitled and go, make him assistant and he doesn't really do anything. He does loads. Jurgen Klopp is the manager. There's Julian Ward is recruitment. John W. Henry, Gordon, they're all in it. Every one of them are in it. Every one of them in it. Do you know what I mean? And like someone says there, we done 8 million for 12 minutes play for Mello. Who made that decision? Who made that decision? Well, what do we do there? We'll just turn and we blame one person on that. That is not what happens. Manager sits down with assistant manager, recruitment, maybe a part of the ownership team with regards to the finances and says, are we all good with that? Yeah, go and do that. Are we all good with that? No, we won't do that. That's what happens. And listen, FSG could leave the club tomorrow. I don't really give a fuck. They could leave the club tomorrow, right? But when they leave the club, right, if or when they leave the club and people come in, you might see Klopp open up a little bit. You might see a little bit opening up. But right now, everything that comes out of Jurgen Klopp's mouth, which is very little, doesn't tell you that he has a problem with FSG. So he's part of the process here. Do you know what I mean? And that's all I'm saying.
Trust the process.
What?
Trust the process.
Trust the process. It all comes full circle. But I agree with you, Gav. I said this months ago that all it would take would be one little side comment from Jurgen Klopp at a press conference to just let on the tiniest little bit that he's getting fucked by the owners, that he's gone to the owners and asked for something and they're not giving it to him. And this is a man who's managed for, 22 years, 1,000 games? He knows how to play the press conference game as good as just about anybody. All he'd have to do is just one little comment, and the fan base would take up on it and be entirely on his side and put FSG in an almost untenable position. But it hasn't happened. Like, is it towing the line if you agree with the where the line's drawn?
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, then, you know, when I look at it, it's there's towing the line, but when I say it looks like more like Klopp's towing the line, he's saying very little. He's saying very little. Like, do you know what I mean? The only thing he's really said in this window was, all our problems can't be sorted. We just spend the money, right? And then he says nothing's going to happen in the window. Do you know what I mean? And even at that, Liverpool are limited in who they can bring in anyway, because Liverpool, as a club, have walked themselves into this situation. They can't sign a foreign player unless he drops someone out of the squad, right? And he doesn't do that. He hasn't got form for doing it. They'd have to sign a homegrown player. My preference, if it's a homegrown player, should have been, if you want Mason Mount, go and ask for a loan. We're an obligation to buy. Go and loan the other fella at Gallagher at Chelsea. Go and do something that's homegrown. But they haven't. Because as a club and as a collective, they've walked themselves into this situation. And it's up to them as a collective, whether that's Klopp and FSG or Klopp and new owners, to get themselves out. And right now, to get themselves out and sort this squad without becoming, for me, where it's a massive issue, like a massive issue where you're not talking 3, 4 players, you're talking 7, 8. They need to do something in the summer. End of story. And if they do it in the summer, I can guarantee it, if they do it in the summer and they start flying next season, everyone will get a tap on the back. Everyone.
Of course.
Right? Of course they will. But if they don't do it, we'll just zone in on this or that without any evidence of it whatsoever. And that's not me defending any of them, because I think it's a shit show at the minute. An absolute shit show from top to bottom. In the structure, in what the plan is, you know, how we're playing, formation, everything at the moment is appalling. Will we get out of it? I hope so. But we're down to last chance, I think, to try get it sorted before it goes too far.
That comment you said before, where Klopp come out and said, our problems can't be solved with money, that's a bit of 50-50 for me. It can. Because the problem is crying. Yeah. The problem is absolutely fucking screaming out to us in our face.
Yes.
The midfield is being walked over week in, week out.
That issue.
Now, if money doesn't solve that,
yeah,
what can? You know, because the players we've got at the club now, they're on a decline. Simple as that. There's 2 players there, Henderson and Fabinho, as much as I love the 2 of them and what they've done for us. Clearly, the legs have gone. And week in, week out, Thiago is carrying 3 players, well, carrying himself and 2 other players. Eventually, he's going to break down. Then what? This is, like I said earlier, this has been going on for years. And for us to be even having this conversation in 2023 is absolutely fucking bizarre. And what I've got in the summer is the English players that are going out the door. We've got to bring homegrown in then.
Of course.
So, you know, where are we finding them? If they're not available in January, why would they be in July?
Anyway?
Yeah.
I think and LFCR is back, and I'm delighted he or she is there, because this is what it's all about, throwing comments in and letting us answer them, right? He or she says, I'm not too sure if you're a man or a woman, so I won't presume, says he literally said he'd like to see them take more risks. Yeah, everybody would. But the problem is they can't take the risks because they can't get players into the squad unless they get them out. And the thing is, behind it all comes back to the model of FSG. They don't throw money away. They don't throw. I'd love to see them say, listen, Ox, fair play to you, unlucky, you have 6 months left, it's going to cost us fucking whatever to pay it off, right? 6 months pay is probably, I don't know, 2 million quid, right? There's the 2 million and go. But he's a homegrown player. They're short one already. You know, nobody's come in and tried to sign Naby Keita on a pre-contract, right? Where they could have said, well, that's freed up, you know, there's a nominal fee, we let him go. They can't take the risk because they have taken risks and they've worked out so fucking badly for them. That's what it is. The risk was Ox, Chamberlain. You know what I mean? They were the risks.
Arthur Mello on loan.
You know, yeah, but it's look, it's not nice at the minute, and we'll all disagree on loads, and it's just for me.
Nobody will disagree on the need to sign a midfielder.
No.
We all said this in the summer.
And LFC my friend, it always comes back to funds. Always, mate. If the money was there, he'd spend it.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what.
I want to throw this to Kev, because you kind of mentioned this. So I'm just going to run through. I've got the transfers here sorted by highest value to lowest value. So if Enzo goes through, he'd be top. So let's go. Mudryk, Gordon, Gakpo, Badiashile, Rutter, Madueke, Vitinha, Gusto, Zabarnier, Trossard, Utara, Vober, Gerson. I don't know how many names I listed off there. Gerson was the first midfielder on that list. With the exception of Enzo Fernandez at the very top, the most expensive permanent transfer midfield so far is £17.6 million. Gerson from Marseille to Flamengo. Danilo from Palmeiras to Nottingham Forest, 16 million is the next one. Kev, is there a market for midfielders? Or is it so, are they such a hot commodity right now? Because if you look, nobody was screaming for us to sign Sabitzer at the start of the window. Nobody was saying we should go and test Jorginho's resolve at Chelsea at the start of the window. There's not a lot of midfielders that are moving even.
There's not, but I think the issue we've got is everybody knows we're crying out for one. So when it comes to the summer, March, April, May, June onwards, they're going to add the value onto it anyway. We are desperate as a club, as a team, as a fan base for midfielders. And if people think that we're going to go out and spend 150 million, 130 million on Jude Bellingham and another 2 on top of that for 50, 60 million, fucking it must be, they must be crazy, because it's not going to happen. I can only see personally the likes, if Jude is happening, which, it could be, it might not be, a couple of pre-contracts. I can't see anything else. I can't see us going out and spending crazy money unless that ownership is changed by July. And from what I've seen in business, that doesn't happen in that short space of time.
We've spent 150 million quid on forwards in the last 3 windows. So they
3
will
windows.
spend, one each, and rebuilt the forward line. Start of next season, Mo is the oldest forward that we have at the club. Mo and Bobby, if Bobby extends. If he doesn't, Gakpo is probably going to be a false 9 going forward, or a second striker. Going into next summer, you're going to sell Creevin Kelleher. That's nailed on. You'll get 25 to 30 million for him. He's well worth that. When Pickford moved from Sunderland to Everton, it was £35 million. So we have assets to sell as well. If Joe Gomez comes up to be available for a transfer, he will go for decent money. I doubt he will. I can't. Yeah, but I can't see Gomez or Jones being allowed to leave. But one thing I noticed from this transfer window, we brought an awful lot of players back, young lads that came back from loan, all over the place. Nobody came in with a single offer for any of our players.
No.
Throughout the whole window, nobody decided to look at seeing, is Carvalho available on loan.
Yeah, but when you're
but there
players,
wasn't even a twig of an interest.
I know, but you see, look at centre backs and stuff like that. Virgil is out, Kanate is out now as well, unfortunately. But you're bringing I don't think clubs are going to come in for that, Phillips, because they're looking at it going, they're not just going to sell him now at the minute. It's just the way it is. And you know what? I didn't quite get the stuff bringing them back from loan, unless they've new deals to put, new loan deals. They want to put them out somewhere else, but that's boy to boy. You know what I mean? It's still, at the end of the day, if you get 10 million for each of them players, it's 20 million quid, right? Where do you put them? Where do you put the player? Unless it's homegrown. This is what I'm saying, and I'm not disagreeing with anyone that says we should sign a midfielder. I think we should have done 2. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's, forget Bellingham for a minute. I think we should have done 2. Because, if you take Mark Klopp's comments where he went, some players have been really good for us in the past, and maybe that's it for them. He says that. So if that's it for them, bring in 2.
But
Bring
this is
in
a
two.
question no one likes. If Bellingham does go to City, Chelsea, Real Madrid, PSG, whoever it is, then what? I keep going back to this question because I genuinely, we can't be in this situation again in 12 months' time. It's not going to be possible.
There's a problem after coming up with Hakim Ziyech's deal to PSG.
Yeah, they don't know if the papers are in on time.
Yeah, the papers weren't in on time. It's been sent back for it's not been
How long does it
registered
take
in
to
time.
send these bits of paper? Like, this is going on since
No,
12 o'clock
someone's
today.
kid was using the dial-up internet. They had the
Genuinely,
line
you
was
could have
busy.
strapped the fucking thing to a pigeon, right, in London, and told them to fly to Paris, and it would have been like an hour.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Keylor
mean?
Navas deal is confirmed.
I thought he was one of their best players against us.
Yeah,
Not
who's
so long
confirmed?
ago.
Yeah, Ziyech has been...
Keylor Navas is confirmed for us.
Okay. Super Chapman Scott says the real crime is FSG have crushed a lot of our spirits. They've made too many mistakes and not learned from them. That I almost don't care. Fuck my life. Yeah, listen, there's been loads of mistakes, loads of them, and
that's just sports, though, right?
It is sport. But the thing is,
there's an answer to your question.
No,
what do we do? If Jude Bellingham goes,
but you see,
somewhere
I
else,
can
what do we do?
I could accept if Liverpool signed a midfielder in August and a midfielder in January, and we went, they're really good signings, and they turned out to be fucking brutal, right? And you go, they were mistakes, right? But this is for me, and I'm not listen. I'll be watching Liverpool at the weekend, and I'll be over in Liverpool for the United game, and I'll be over in Liverpool at the end of the season, and I'll be watching every fucking game, and I'll be drinking with Dom, and we all having a lovely time, right? But I'll keep going and keep watching. But right now, there's mistakes, and then there's just nearly pig ignorance to what's going on. Yeah,
but this is what I said at the very start. And they're betting the house on this summer.
Well, you're betting the house on this summer, and I don't know if it's Bellingham. I don't know, but it's for me. Whoever the midfielders are, whether Bellingham goes out and plays for whoever, Liverpool need to make this right in the summer, and they, as a club, right, as a club and as a collective, they need to look and make some really fucking strong and hard decisions on players in that squad that are being brilliant and just aren't now, and that's how it goes. Ferguson done it for years. This fella was brilliant for them. Gone. I'm seeing a drop in him. Gone. Bring the next one in. Do you know what I mean? And as much as we hate Man United and Ferguson, he done it. Bang, bang, bang. You know what I mean? And they talk about improving when you're at the top. When he improved, when he was at the top, he nearly always sacrificed a big enough player. You know what I mean? Kanchelskis, he even done it too. Paul Ince, he done it too. Roy Keane, out. Talked out a turn. Bang, out. You know what I mean? All gone. And I can accept transfer mistakes when you make a transfer and it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Especially the money that they're spending nowadays. But right now, we're all sitting here for 6 months now going, need to sign a midfielder. And we're sitting here now on the 1st of February, over the 1st of February in a half an hour's time. And there's nothing happening.
So who goes then? You're talking, somebody in the chat there said, it's almost at the point where you need to start looking the comment was, if FSG had their way, they'd be looking to sell one of Van Dijk, Salah, Alisson, or Trent to fund the rebuild.
Jono says Chelsea sent the wrong document 3 times to derail the deal for Ziyech. What? That is mental. Jono, let us know where you read that. Sorry, Matt, go on.
Actually, I don't even remember what the hell I was talking about. That's okay. It's HM has a comment there towards me. He says, I understand I don't ever want Liverpool to be wrong, but every once in a while you can say they've made a mistake.
Oh yeah.
Come watch us on the post-game show. It's full of pointing out mistakes that Liverpool fucking make. The thing is I'm here for the long haul. Like, if they gamble the house on it and the house burns down, it doesn't matter. It's still our land. You just got to be a fan long enough to see them build the next house. That's the answer to Dom's question. What happens if we get left behind? Then you go through some fucking barren years. You're still a fan of Liverpool. This is a club that has history, that has prestige, that has passion to it behind it. These owners, we'll talk about them as a footnote in 20 years. The players that are here, we'll talk back with reverence of Jurgen Klopp and Mo Salah and players like that. The club will keep going forward. And at the absolute minimum is, FSG has fucked it up, and it seems like Klopp and some of the people that are involved with the football operations, they are dropping the ball on it. But what they're not doing is poisoning the heart of this club, like Chelsea might be doing. with their ridiculous overspending and crazy long contracts, like Everton's having done to them. Like you see happen with, like, we're not at risk of losing our club. Our club is in a healthy position in a long-term business of sports model. You got to take the rough with the smooth. We had just about the smoothest smooth possible last season. You know, we've had it pretty fucking great for the last 4 or 5 years. So a little downturn in form, and you start seeing people like, it's the Klopp out people that just blow my mind. Like, Klopp's job should be at risk. That's crazy. That's crazy.
A PSG journal called Bruno Solomon has reported that Chelsea have sent incorrect documents on 3 occasions with regards to Ziyech. But why would they do that if they want them gone?
They need to free up space.
Yeah, it's a bit mad. But anyway, can we go?
Can I just mention about Matt before we go? Matt said, if we had to sell one of the assets, what would it be? That's what you asked.
Yeah.
Let's go a big kick-off before we go.
I floated on a show a couple weeks ago, just as an out there like thought experiment of keeping Kevin Kelleher because he counts as homegrown, and selling Alisson because he might be our most valuable asset. And I think out of those 4 players, Van Dijk, Salah, Alisson, and Trent, I think the one you do not sell ever is Trent. I think it would be crushing to the city and the club, everything about it.
But you see, now we're going down the route of
this is rebuild.
I know it's rebuild, but now you're breaking glass. Now you're hitting the big red button, doing something like that, right?
It feels like we're kind of
but it doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't need to be like that. You know what I mean?
It didn't need to be like that.
No, I know, but for me, like, I wouldn't look at selling any of them for. And Alisson certainly not. Like, if Alisson isn't in goal for us, like, forget about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's the best keeper I've ever seen playing for Liverpool anyway. And when you talk about selling one of them off, like, then you're saying to yourself, right, so say you sell Alisson for 75 million quid, right? Or 100 million quid, whatever you want. Then you have to reinvest it, right? And now you're taking a risk with Kevin Kelleher, who's been really good. But how does Kevin Kelleher perform over a full season? We don't know that.
Yeah.
We'd probably have to wait to see him playing somewhere else before we know that. That's why selling him with a buyback makes the most sense. Because if you sell him for 20 and your buyback is 40, you're losing 20 million quid, but you have the evidence in front of you. You know what I mean? And then you're taking a risk. And then what happens then is that you sell Alisson, you put Kelleher in goal, it doesn't quite work, and you go, but you signed a right-sided midfielder or a centre midfielder, and he doesn't work. And next of all, it's like, we're 100 million quid down here. We sold the best keeper in the world. That keeper's not working. That midfielder didn't work. And that's taking risks, but that's unnecessary risks, really, when you think about it. Liverpool as a club functioning shouldn't have to sell their biggest player anymore. Not unless it's on their terms. They shouldn't have to. They make loads of money. They're well able to cover what they spend. They should never have to sell their biggest player ever. We're going to buy that. We're going to buy that. But you see, Salah hasn't been great. But let's be honest about it. His goals and assists this season are okay. For this, more than okay.
Considering where we are.
Yeah, for the season we've had. But it's
he's only scored 7 in the league, so he's got to improve that. He scored 17 all up, but he's only scored 7 in the league.
Yeah, but look, it's
look. The only little bit of late breaking news, it doesn't concern us. It's Manchester United. Tuanzebe is going on loan to Stoke.
Jeez, they still have him.
Yeah, they still got him. There's a bit happening in the Championship, not much. And there's a message out of Everton. Nothing happening at Everton. We can confirm that Everton have no deal sheets in, which means they will not be making any signings, despite selling Anthony Gordon to Newcastle for 40 million. Everton have told Sky Sports News there's nothing in the links with them and free agent Andre Ayew.
So he's gone with what he has. Someone said there that the Ziyech deal is off. So,
and he's currently stranded in PSG's club offices. That's
well. The thing is, like, he's fairly outspoken as well, Ziyech, at times. So that'll be interesting. But can we go now?
Yes, we can go.
Yeah. I think that's about enough.
Oh, can I ask Dom about his podcast before we go?
Yeah, I was just going to do exactly
People
that.
are probably looking there going, oh, will you ask him then? Go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, let us know where we can find you and what's coming up on your show.
Okay, so the Road End podcast, it's available on Spotify, Apple Music. It's available on all streaming platforms. I'm starting to do more video, starting to do more clips. Recently had Neil Mellor, Bolo Zenden, Chris Kirkland is this week's episode. There's quite a few ex-footballers. There's some boxers from the city, but I've also tried to keep it, as Gav mentioned before, trying to promote the city and what good it does and the people that are from here and, you know, what we do as people, because Liverpool's a hard working place and there's a lot of people who work here who've come from nothing and they're getting where they need to be. Now, I'm not going to reveal these guests, but there is some special people coming up in the next few weeks, which I'm really proud about, to be honest, because we can talk to footballers all we want, but the people putting the bums on the seat in the ground is what it's about for me. They're getting these footballers into the stadiums. So I've got one I'd like to reveal, which is a guy called Dave Kirby. He's a local guy. He's from near me. He wrote a book recently, and he also does all the theatre shows, such as Brick Up the Mersey Tunnels. He's a writer. He's a playwright, and he tells me stories about the 70s, 80s, and 90s, which makes me think I wish I was here back in them days. Yeah. And I've got grey hair, but I'm not that old. But yeah, if anyone can listen in and just give me some feedback, I'd appreciate it. It's quite new. I'm in the second season, but it's getting there, and I'm enjoying it. And the reason I started it up, I don't want to take too much of your time, guys. Sorry.
No, you walk away.
The reason I started it up, I had a grieving issue last year. Lost my brother-in-law. So I needed to put my focus into something that was keeping my mental stability, basically, because I was losing my shit, and that's the reality. Started this up. There's a lot of mental health talk with Chris Kirkland, especially this week. A lot of ex-players also, and yeah, it's keeping me sane. Talking about Liverpool keeps me sane as much as it's insane at the moment. So, thanks for having me on. Thanks for listening to me bullshit.
Well, if you think you've bullshitted, you fit well in here anyway. So, but honestly, I've met Dom for a drink. I've done an interview with him. That went terribly because the sound didn't come out. We had to redo it. Just to let you know, that was my fault, not his. And I've listened to loads of his stuff, and it's excellent. It's excellent. Honestly, it's. Do you know what it is? It's, for me, it's Liverpool content, but it gets you away from everyday Liverpool. And that's what's really good about it. You know, we all listen to podcasts where it's like the game, before the game, after the game, transfers, this, owners, and it's so intense when you listen to it. Whereas this, you bang it on, and I'm not saying parts of it aren't intense, but you sit back and you hear good stories, and it just takes you away. It's still Liverpool, but it takes you away from every day what's going on in Liverpool Football Club. And I couldn't recommend it anywhere, the Road End Pod. I really couldn't. It's different to anything I think that's going on out there at the minute. And like Dom says, he's on Twitter, he's everywhere. You should definitely go and have a listen. And it's
Thank
excellent.
you.
Yeah, no, it's super fitting as well that you're on too, because here in Canada we just had kind of our national let's talk about, you know, mental health kind of day here. Just this past week went through, and it's something that, you know, even 10, 15 years ago, you know, guys like our age, you know, in our sort of bracket, didn't get talked about really at all. So being able to put a little Liverpool slant to it, you know, it allows people to come into something that might be a tough conversation to even listen to for some people. You know, you go, oh shit, you know, Neil Mellor, like, wouldn't mind hearing what he has to say. And then it's not your regular complaining about not signing midfielders. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. And always go back and check out Gav's interview that he did with them when he made a little trip over to Liverpool. What was that, the Brighton game? Southampton.
Yeah, Southampton. And I'm going over soon, and I won't be bringing any equipment with me. Me and Don will just go on the points, to be honest with you.
Getting on the lash. Yeah, so it's the podcast. There's a couple of people asking. It's called The Road End Pod. Yeah, you'll find it on all streaming platforms. So for everyone asking, thank you.
Yeah. There it is up on screen, The Road End Pod on all pod apps.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Kev, anything before we get out of here?
I'm saying nothing. I'm all good.
There you go. No, there's no more breaking news. See, the window's closed.
Nope.
There's one piece of breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Everton are now asking where the Gordon money is.
With the Arteta money.
Yeah, it's replaced the Arteta
That's-
money. It's now where is the Gordon money, Bill? So
Well, it would be nice if Bill Kenwright could take a little chunk of that Gordon money and click on the link for our charity partner and get us to our goal in one fell swoop. That would be nice. We got a dozen women in Dublin that are going to be running the Dublin Marathon to raise money for breast cancer awareness, and Gav is teamed up with them to help get them to their fundraising goal. They're already started running around for miles and miles on end. So
I'm so tired thinking about it.
I know. I walk about a third of a marathon a day, sort of thing. I walk it, not run it, and that's more than enough. That's more than enough.
Well, like before we finish, they're genuinely, the weather is awful in Dublin, and they're out and they're running most nights of the week, and it's gonna only be up and up and up to, because I think you nearly have to run a marathon the week before you run a marathon to make sure you can do it and stuff like that. Not that I'm any expert on this, anyone just not an expert on this, but look, it's an incredible effort they're putting in. It's an incredible charity. And, from tomorrow, I did say I was turning off the Super Chats, right? From tomorrow, the 1st of February, right through until this ends, right? All the Super Chats that come into this channel will go to them, right? Now, the only thing I will say is that if you put a tenner in, they get 7. YouTube get 3. So if you want to take that second to click on any of our shows and click the link, or any of our social medias and click the link and put 10 in, they will get the 10. If you do a super chat, you only get 70% of it. But I can't seem to stop people doing super chats. So what we'll do is we get an analytics thing at the end of the month that tells them which we made off super chats, and I'll be able to tot that up and keep transferring it over to them, and it'll just say LFC Daytrippers super chats within the donation. So donate if you want. If you want them to get 100%, if you want them to get 70% of what you're given, and you want the super chat, go down that route, because, like I said, every euro counts. So, we'll keep going till we get there. We don't stop till we get there. That's the way what we do.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for a transfer window slamming shut special episode of the Midweek Fix from the LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com. Thanks to Gav. Thanks to Kev. Thanks especially to Dom for joining us. I'm Matt. See you guys around. No complaining.